Hedge is a species of tree with many names. Here in the Midwest, it's called hedge. I've heard it called Osage orange. In the South, down in Texas, I've heard guys call it baudark, kind of a French twist to it. Hedge makes outstanding fence posts, and that will be the theme of this channel. Turning hedge into fence posts and other products that I can market, and bringing you along for the journey. I guess just a word on the origin story of this YouTube channel, if you're watching it. I call it the Postmaster, but I am not the Postmaster. I aspire to be the Postmaster. I'm a beginning postman, would be more accurate. So what I'm saying is I'm still learning. But sometimes the YouTube channels that I enjoy the most as a consumer of content are the ones where I get the opportunity to go along with someone on their learning journey. And so I didn't see any other hedge post channels on YouTube when I did a quick search. And so, I mean, even if I would have, it's not flooded like firewood or hunting or those sorts of things. So I thought maybe this would be a place I could add value and maybe a little bit of entertainment. And so I'm just bringing you along on my journey learning about cutting posts. I sold my first fence post about a month ago on July the 27th, and have just been kind of working at it from there. So you're getting in on the ground view. I'm sure I've got lots to learn in my quest to become the Postmaster. So in another video, I'll walk through and talk about how I index them. I've got kind of three sizes of post, and then divided up amongst straight and less straight. As a marketer, you don't call them crooked. you call them less straight. So everybody wants the straight ones, but not everybody wants to pay for the straight ones. And then I've got some burls. I've got some posts that are big enough that they could have been an anchor for the Titanic. My tractor will barely lift them. And then I've got a pile of what I call bargain posts, which are just kind of odds and ends, and bringing them out of the timber because they're too good to let behind, but right on the edge of too good to let behind. And so I tend to just kind of make somebody a screaming deal on those posts to get them out of here and get a couple bucks for them. So probably enough talking. Let's get at it, get the rest of this trailer unloaded, and get back to the woods and get some more posts. This is the Postmaster. Here we're just unloading the rest of the posts that are still in my cart. Right now I'm using clamp-on forks that clamp on the front of my bucket. I'm going to be upgrading those soon, so I'll be showing you that in a future video. All the posts left on here go into the same category, so I'm just going to dump them off at one spot. And I have this clip sped up a little bit. I can't drive my little tractor this fast, so they're just going on the standard line post pile. But I'll do a whole video on how I index my posts, which is a process I'm still learning. And here I'm just hooking up to my trailer and get ready to go. Pretty simple process. It's an old pickup trailer that I got for free, and I sold the bed off of it, and I made some homemade bunks with I had a pine tree that I'd cut down, and made 2 cross members for it. Be able to see that a little better here in just a minute. It came with a very nice jack, and so it was really a screaming deal. Here you can see the 2 basically just chunks of pine log on their crossways. I just have them lagged down to the frame. The old pickup bed that was on here was, the floor was rusted out of it, and I was actually able to sell it to a collector who was restoring an old truck and wanted it for some parts for his project. So made good money off that deal, and it makes a really nice tool for bringing the posts out. Right here, the standards on the sides are just nailed fast, and I'm going to change that, and I'll show you that in a future video also. Now we'll jump into the woods. All right, friends and neighbors, we are back up here at the post job. We got the logging cart staged up, and I'm in here by this tree. This is going to be a money tree right here behind me. I am learning to use a camera and learning to film and learning to edit YouTube all at the same time. And so it was terrible. Last night I had the camera set up on the tractor out there about where that stump is, and we'll talk about that stump in a later episode. I'm going to do an episode just on stumps and brush and dealing with that. Had the camera set up, pointed the right direction, the lighting was perfect. I actually decided to cut it down last night right at dark, sunset light. It would have been beautiful. And I hit the record button and I wasn't in video mode. So I got a really nice picture of me standing in front of the tractor getting ready to go cut the tree. And I notched it. It fell perfect. It landed exactly where I wanted it. It didn't hang up. It didn't pinch my saw. It didn't do any of the terrible things that large hedge trees are wont to do. And I did not get it on camera. So I'm sorry about that. It really annoys me when YouTube channels are telling a story and then they leave out parts of the story. There's a guy that I used to follow. I really enjoyed his stuff, and he'd buy tractors and trucks and work on them, and I enjoyed following it. And then you'd come back in one episode and the tractor'd be gone. It's like, hey, what happened? You spent the entire last episode extolling the virtues of this obscure model of Massey Ferguson tractor, and now it's gone. And people would ask about him in the comments, and they'd be like, that's none of your business. We don't need to tell you every detail. I was like, no, that's fine. You don't need to tell every detail of your life, but if you're going to include something in the story, let's have some continuity. And when I consume YouTube product, YouTube entertainment, education, whatever, if you're going to take me along on a story, tell me the whole story. And so I hate that I missed that, but we're back in here, gonna get this cut off. And so the way, kind of my system, or the way I'm doing it right now, and again, I'm just a post beginner, aspiring to be a postmaster, but the way I do it, because of the size of my tractor, if I had a big log skidder, I could hook onto this thing, drag the whole thing out. If I was in a spot where the landowner didn't care about brush deposited across the landscape and was just going to let it return to the earth naturally, I just cut the posts out, take the posts, leave the rest. That's how I grew up cutting logs. But the landowner wants the brush piled, stacked, burnt, discarded. I think I'm going to be attacked by a squirrel. Hopefully, if that happens, hopefully I get it on camera. It could be a viral moment. Landowner wants the brush out. So the way I do it is, if it's a small tree, I can hook onto the end, take the whole thing out, deal with it. This tree's too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of gauge what I want for posts, where I want to cut it to make the best use of the tree, and I'm going to take it out in small chunks. And what I do is I leave all the brush, or as much of the brush as possible, attached to the tree, drag it out to kind of my work spot that you can see up there in the background. There's where I'll limit, cut it to final lengths, scoop up the posts, put them right on the log cart, shove the brush up on a pile. And it actually works out size-wise with the size of that cart. I can come up after breakfast and cut a nice load before lunch. I can come out after lunch, cut a nice load before supper. If I'm really feeling froggy, I can come out after an early supper and cut till dark. And then just take all the posts out with me. I considered making a pile in here, but it's a little hard to access. I've got a buddy that's got a dump trailer, but I couldn't get it back in here with the crops in. And I've got to drive in and out anyhow. Like, I'm not leaving my for various reasons, I'm not leaving my tractor up here, primarily because I've got other things I do with my tractor, and when I don't have it, I miss it a lot. So since I'm going back in anyways, it just makes the most sense for me to take all the posts out with me in a different setting. You know, I might just make a pile of posts here, and then I wouldn't be married to that. But this is what works for me for now. So this is probably enough talking for one little segment, and let's get to work. Right here, I've hooked onto a portion of that big tree that we were just looking at. I tried pulling a bigger part of it. My little tractor wouldn't pull it. And so here I latched onto a part of it. I think in the end I wind up taking the whole tree out in about 4 or 5 hitches. That's how big it was. And so here I'm going. You're going to see the tire spinning. And so the technique I'm using here to gain some traction is I'm applying individual wheel brakes. As one tire slips, I apply the brake to that tire, and I'm just kind of trying to manage that and feather that. And you can see I'm having some success, and I think I got to a spot and I got tired of fighting it, and I went back and cut another limb off, and somewhere in here my camera battery dies. But that's what we're doing here, and we'll pick it up kind of back at my work yard here in a minute. All right, so the camera died partway through that. What I hooked onto that tree, pretty sure you were with me when we cut the tree about 3 feet from the bottom. I'll have a burl for the knife maker, and then right there it kind of starts into pretty decent post. Hooked onto the big chunk, got it to move a little bit. Well, didn't get it to move, cut one limb off, got it to move part way, kind of hung up again, went back, measured out a good post off the butt. Actually, I'm gonna skip a little spot. I hate to, but there's about 2 feet, 3 feet on the bottom of this. It's a different diameter and kind of a little crooked. And if I sacrifice that for either firewood or knife handle wood, I get a really superior 10-foot straight post. Not cannon barrel straight, but pretty nice straight post. So I elected to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut that post to length so it's ready to load, limit, and take any small line posts that I can out of the limb wood, get that stuff loaded, shove the brush up on the brush pile, go back down, and I'll just grab the way this will work. I won't narrate it to this level on each one, but just to kind of give you a picture of what I'm doing. I'll go back down. The next one I'll grab will be the last chunk that I cut off. I'll try and get it fished out, get it up here, cut the good posts out of it, push the brush in a pile, just keep whittling away at it. Smaller trees, I'd be able to bring the whole thing up here and do it all at one shot. This is a big tree. I like big trees because big trees have lots of posts in them, and a lot of times they've got some, not always, but this one has a lot of nice straight ones in it, so I'm excited about it. And that's kind of my workflow. So I probably won't talk this much for the rest of it, but that's what's happening. All right, back to work.
Okay, you can see here in this, the end of this log, I said I was going to cut the bottom couple feet off of it to make a nice, really straight superior post, which I'm going to do, but I decided just to let it all connected till I get it back to the post yard. It'll just be easier to haul all together. Here I am loading up the posts that I've cut out of the trees that I've pulled up for today. Again, in this clip I'm still using my clamp-on pallet forks that go on the end of my bucket. And in this post you can really see the drawbacks to that. Visibility and just usability is not great, but they did work to get me started. I'm going to be switching that system over. It's in the process right now, and I'll cover that in a future video. But scoop up what I can get. Sometimes smaller posts, I can get more than one on my bucket or in my scoop. Here I've just got one, and I can't really tell where I'm at right now. That must have been, I must have drug it around behind. Yeah, I must have drug it up past the post cart a little bit. And here we are loading, and I can get a pretty good jag of posts on here. I can get enough on here with this system that it's about all my little tractor wants to pull out. You can kind of see the bottom of the pallet forks, how they go again, the bottom of the bucket there. And yeah, the bucket's taking it pretty well, but I can tell that it's eventually going to be bad for it. So you can see some of the other posts. I think my camera died on me again, I'm still figuring out my camera. It kind of gets hot and then shuts down. So you guys didn't get to see me cutting all of this stuff, but this is just the rest of that same tree I was working on. And again, I apologize that I couldn't bring you along for all that. Growing pains of learning to use a camera. The deal I made with a farmer, part of the deal is that I keep the brush cleaned up, and anything that I cut down I clean up and push the brush up on piles and burn it. The pallet forks work really good, pretty good for
pushing the brush, I can kind of get in under a big bunch of brush and pick it up and tilt it and really move an amazing amount of brush in a very small amount of time. So that's, or in one pass rather. So that's what's happening here, and trying to get it stacked so that I'll have a nice brush pile when I get around to that. Have to let it dry for a while and then wait for a good rainy or a good snowy day. Some of this may wait till winter time to finally get done. I think I take another swipe at it here and try and push it up a little better. Working with hedge, dealing with the brush is a big part of the hassle. There's a lot of brush, it has a lot of thorns in it. It's unpleasant, but it just kind of comes with it. And we'll just finish out this video loading up the rest of the loaded post, or yeah, I think the camera dies partway through. I found what works best is to take the pallet forks off and not have them on the tractor. Drag as many posts as I can out here and get them staged up. And then, yeah, I usually try and have as many as, I try and pull out a full load, get a full load ready to go, and then I'll scoop them up and load them. Sometimes I've had really good days and where the workflow just went well and I was able to cut more than what I could get on one load. And so then I kind of have a head start on the next day. Not sure what's going on here. Kind of pause there in the action for a minute. So these posts are quite a bit smaller than some of those other ones you saw me load, and so I've got 3 or 4 on here. When I get my new system, I'm going to get a quick attach for this bucket, and that'll, in a real set of pallet forks, that'll bring them back closer to the hinge point and give me a little more mechanical advantage. And you'll see that when that comes to pass. For now, this is getting me started, and I was able to earn enough money with this setup to kind of get me going. So we're going to finish loading this out, and yeah, I'll take these back to the post yard, unload them, index them, and we kind of started today's video with unloading the cart, what I'd cut the previous day or previous couple days. So we're going to end it there. Thanks for joining us for Postmasters. Hope this has been perhaps educational and maybe a little entertaining, and we will see you next time. Thanks again. Bye for now.